Hi there, it's Mr. Clark. Welcome to lesson JAZ.2.4 on chord voicings. So, a while ago we looked at closed and open positions of triads, and voicing is the more general principle about how we're going to space out our chord tones in different octaves. So we're going to look at piano because that's the easiest to talk about, but these principles can be applied to any harmonic instrument that you have. Most often in jazz that would be guitar or vibes, but if you're doing jazz on accordion or balalaika or something, same principles would apply here. This also applies to sections of wind instruments. It's generally, you would have 4 or 5 of these in a big band sort of setting. 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, 5 saxophones. That basic idea. So the chordal 3rd and 7th are known as guide tones, for reasons that will become obvious in the next section. But their positioning tends to be relevant in chord voicing. So anytime I say guide tones, that just means the 3rd and 7th of the chord. If you have a close voicing, that's going to put the root down in the bottom, and all of the other tones spaced within an octave of each other. So with the C13 here, we'd expect C, E, G, B flat, D, and A. Like we've seen with 5/7 chords, you can often omit the 5th. Like, the root implies a perfect 5th pretty well acoustically. That's the first overtone, so you don't really need to include it. So here we have C, we have E, we skip the G, B flat, D, and A. So, as long as the root's in the left hand, then however you space the upper tones, whichever of those notes you choose to put on the bottom, that's valid. D on the bottom, E, and B flat, that's a little crunchier. E on the bottom, A, B flat, D, A on the bottom. So, however you want to space those, as long as they're all within an octave of each other. So, another way, based on that voicing, another common voicing is drop 2, where you take one of the voicings that we had, and you drop the second note from the top down into the left hand, down an octave. So here, this first one, we drop the E down. Here, the second one, we drop the B flat down. That just creates a little more space up near the top of the voicing and spreads it out a little bit more evenly. So in this case, I think we wanted to keep the D up here and put the E down there. Yeah, there we go. So, second one. Yeah, so that one in particular, it's a nice, there's a little bit of space between each of these, a lot of things stacked in fourths, but it's all pretty evenly distributed. If you have open or spread voicings, then even more so, we see that spacing out pretty evenly. So one common way to do this is to keep the root and the guide tones, the 3rd and 7th in the bottom, and then any extensions up in the right hand. So root, 3rd, and 7th, then. And that orally distinguishes, like, your really load-bearing structural notes, your root, 3rd, and 7th, and then anything else that's just pretty icing on top of the chord is in a higher octave, easier to distinguish. In an ensemble setting, often the bass player is going to be responsible for playing the roots. So if you're playing the piano in a combo or a big band, you don't really need to play the roots because that's someone else's job. You don't need to worry about that. So often you might want a rootless voicing. So here we leave out the C entirely, and you can space out the other chord tones. So that's our implied root. That's what we play. That's what we play. And if you're doing that on your own, it can make for some interesting, out there sorts of harmonies, usually a little bit more ambiguous. If you're with a bass player, it'll be pretty obvious what's going on. So, some basic principles, some ideas to get you started here, but voicing is only limited by instrument range and the exact sound that you're going for. It can make a big difference how you voice things within a section on a harmonic instrument. And a lot of what you're going to be looking at is smooth voice leading from one chord to the next, which can be easier with these extensions, as we'll see in the next section. See you there.